Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderEd, Blender HD if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Friday, December 23rd. We're coming close to Christmas, and it's freezing outside. I'm wearing my fleece, right? It's cold inside. It's cold inside. Anytime we open up the back door, whatever, to let the dog out or something like that, basically the temperature in the house just like goes down 8 degrees, right? That's how cold it is. It says on my weather app, it's -5 degrees here. -5 as the real temperature feels like -25. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, like, it's not like I'm in Winnipeg, Canada or something like that. It's not like I'm in Detroit or Chicago or whatever. Like, Louisville, Kentucky is Midwest, Mid-Southish, Midwest. Why is it -5, right? But we see with all the football games, it's going to be cold pretty much everywhere. Well, we'll take a look at the NFL slate for tomorrow, but give me those thummy thumbs. I know you can't even, it's so cold. You got your gloves on. You're probably watching with your gloves on, your mittens. You got some mittens on. Take out the thumb. Rip out the thumb of the mitten. And you hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thummy thumbs. Hit the thummy thumbs. You warm up. That's the thing. The more thumbs ups we get, the more likes we get. That's how the warmth happens, right? It's friction of all the people hitting the thumbs up button. I think so. I think that's how it works. So if you want to get a little bit warmer, right? That maybe there's some people that are down and so someone may be watching from Tahiti or something, and it's 102 degrees. Who knows? Maybe they don't want to get warmer, but I want to get warmer, so hit that thumbs up button. I got Suki Singh in the chat, Wataz, Matt Mears, good morning, Jay Willie, Bart B, Gurido, okay, new guy, haven't seen you in a while. Morning, Dave Clark, Kickstart, Jay Willie. Dave Clark's in Phillies wearing my Parks Casino fleece indoors. Oh, okay, someone's a VIP getting their Parks Casino fleece. Right, I just have what is this, Columbia? Just a Columbia one, right? Jay Willie is here. His job is opening late today, so he's able to listen to this. Okay, right? Steve's the producer. He's in chat. It's 0 here in the right. It's -5 in Louisville, 0 in Nashville, 5 degrees in Alabama, according to Kickstart. Don't go outside. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. And there's still snow and ice on the ground, and it's not melting. And people here in Louisville, they don't know how to drive. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving at all. Right? I'm used to driving the snow. I'm from New York. But these people here, they act like they 3 inches and they're dead. Right? And no one even knows how to swerve out of, if they slip or something. It's ridiculous here. Like, all you have to do is turn into it. Just turn into it. And don't brake so hard. It's not complicated. It's really not complicated. If you happen to go over a patch of ice or something like that, don't slam on the brakes and you turn into it. You turn into the curve. You turn it, whatever. You tell it, you can scream that out of your car while someone flies off the road. It's up to them. It's their fault. I ain't going to be out there. But whatever. Oh, yeah. Dave Clark says at least we got rain and not snow in Philly. Right? Gurido is, Gabe. Oh, okay. Okay, you rarely hear I rarely see at least see the username. Okay, Gabe's here. Okay, Gabe knows what he's doing, right? So I don't have to treat him like an idiot. Typically the new people, I'm like, here comes the stupid questions. Here comes the stupid questions. Everyone's saying drive however you want. Not for me. No, not when I'm on the road. If I'm on the road, don't drive however you want. Don't. Get out of my way if you're going to do that. Okay, so we got the football slate, we got the NFL slate, we got totals that are just, this is an absurd slate. It's an absurd slate, and I want to tell you the reason why. And I'm going to be on the Game Theory show. We're going to be recording that later today, me and Tuttle. Recording at 2, so it'll probably come out around 4 or 5 o'clock. Just as a preview of that. If you were to take the data, okay, one of the things that we do in GPPs, okay, remember, in GPPs, we're looking for ceiling. Cash games, we're looking for medians, right? I don't necessarily care about the totals of the games necessarily when I'm playing a lineup that's not correlated and I'm just looking for the highest median value possible and give it to me. Now, obviously, the games with higher totals, the medians of those players tend to be higher anyway, right? I mean, like, you know, more points are likely to be scored. But for GPP, like, you're typically going to be playing 3, 4, 5 guys from a game. You may be playing a secondary correlation of another game. So the games matter. Now, if you looked at the data, when you try to play GPPs, you want to play a game that is going to go 50 points, 60 points, 70 points. You want 35-28, right? You want 44-22, you know, whatever. It's scoregami or something like that. You want 60 plus. You want 70 plus points. You want stuff like that. Now, if you were to look at the data, if you were to plot the data in the NFL from the closing line of the game, total-wise, and then the actual, and you plotted that for years, 20 plus years, the games that are more likely to go 60, 70 points are obviously, it makes sense logically, that the higher total games. So if a game has a 57 total, it's much more likely that it hits 70 points than a game with a 45 total, right? That I'm not saying anything that, oh my God, I wouldn't have never thought of that. But the thing is that the distribution of those outcomes are quite large, are quite not linear. They're not linear. They're much more barbelly, much more bimodal, if you want to call it that way. Hockey stick-like. I don't want to call it exponential, but it's more exponential. Meaning that if you're looking for a game, like the probability of a game to score 70 plus points as a total, it's most likely going to happen out of the 52 total game. And then it's more likely from the 48 total game. Then it gets less likely to the 44 total game. Then gets less likely to the 40 total game. But those gaps in between those are not linear or not equal. It's more of a hockey stick. It's actually more of a reverse hockey stick. That's a better way, but it's a reverse hockey stick. You're plotting it the other way. So as you go further down, the probability goes down more than the step that it goes down, which means the difference between a 48 total game and a 44 total game is much bigger than between a 48 and a 52. And a 48 to 44 and a 44 versus a 40 is a bigger gap than a 48 versus a 44, even though it's only 4 points in the total. You go from 40 to 36, that's even bigger gap. You go from 36 to 32, that's a humongous gap. Okay? So now on this slate, we have we have totals that are very wide between them. I mean, we have, let's say, like the largest total game is probably, I think, Kansas City, Seattle, maybe, Minnesota, New York, Philadelphia, Dallas is what, 47.5, it looks like. The Vikings game is 47.5. Kansas City is 48.5. I mean, weighted more on the cheap side. Carolina, Detroit is 43.5. Right? So, like, obviously these dome games, right? I'm Dallas, Minnesota. Kansas City is going to be really cold. It's not going to be snowing or anything, but it's going to just be really cold. Like, we know that these two games, the Philly-Dallas game and the Giants-Vikings game, are going to be the chalk games. And the byproduct is because they're indoors and it's really cold. And that's why the totals are higher than other games on the slate. So now in GPPs, people think, oh, okay, I could easily pick here's the two chalk games. I'll find something off the board. Like off the board. The problem is that the gaps that come down from these totals, even though on a normal slate, a 47.5 total, and if we go back 3 months, a 47.5 total would be a middling total. Would be like, okay, there's like 2 or 3 games that have 49 to 52 total. There's 2 or 3 games that have a 47 to 49 total. There's a couple of games that have a 43 to 45 total. Like, they're closer to each other, where it's like, okay, like these totals wouldn't be like something to write home about. But the problem on this slate is that these totals are 47, but I mean, Houston, Tennessee is a 35.5 total. Atlanta, Baltimore 35.5. Buffalo, Chicago is only 40.5. I mean, the Browns and the Saints is ridiculous. 32.5. Cincinnati, New England is what? 40, what looks like 41.5. 49ers, Commanders is only 37.5. Like, that's like a 10-point. Some of these game totals are a touchdown lower than the two chalk games. A touchdown lower in total, if not more. Right? 7 points. The 32 total is, I mean, that's 14, that's 15-point difference. So it may be like, well, I'm just going to take a shot on the Saints-Browns game. Right, I'm going to play Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper, and I'm going to run it back with Alvin Kamara. And I'm going to take a shot that this is the game that goes off compared to other games. Like, the likelihood of that happening is exponentially lower. Now, can it happen? Sure. Yeah. But it's not like, oh, I'm going to take this low total game against this high. Like, it's a 15-point difference. The likelihood of this game scoring 60 points is way lower than even like Cincinnati, New England. Like, Cincinnati, New England is 41.5. I mean, that's a touchdown higher than New Orleans, Cleveland. And that's not even that high of a total. So if you're going to get off the board, I mean, truthfully, as far as game stacks are concerned, I'm Xing out I think I'm Xing out anything that's under a 40. Like, anything. Like Houston, Tennessee. Yeah, I can play Derrick Henry. Sure, okay. That's no problem. I can play one-offs. That's no problem. Atlanta, Baltimore, just cross it and just X it out. Not for one-offs, just for game stacks. Like stacky stacks. Like, no, I'm not going to play Desmond Ridder. I'm not going to play Tyler Huntley. I ain't playing Willis is going to start, right? I take a look here. I go New Orleans, Cleveland, just X that out. Right? That's easy. And then you start taking a look and you go, Washington, San Francisco, X that out. I'm not going to play Purdy. I'm not going to play Heineken. Okay, I'm once you boil that, once you start knocking these things out, it's quite possible that the chalk games are not chalky enough. It's weird to say. It's very weird to say because it's a 10-game slate. We have a lot of low total games. It's quite possible that the Vikings game and the Cowboys game are the chalk games, and they're heavy chalk. And they may not be chalky enough. From a game stack perspective. From a stacking perspective. The players in the game may be overowned. But from a stacking perspective. So I'm more in the mindset of playing like 5 guys from these games. To slightly overstack it. 3+2 it. 4+1 it. That type of thing. Where you're playing you're just going Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, like Hawkins. Like you just give me everyone from those games. The games are so much exponentially higher total than these other games that maybe more people will go, oh, yeah, I'll play a 3+1. I'll play a 3+0. I'll play both sides. I'll play 2+1. And I'll just go, this seems like the type of week I'm looking at these games that most of these games go under. You're going to see a lot of 17-10 games, 13-6 games. And then the game that scores 50 points. And, the game that goes in one of these two games, the Vikings and the Cowboys, one of those games that goes, 30-27. Like, that's the winner. The opportunity cost is going to be quite low when there's barely any points being scored in a lot of these other games. So maybe getting 13 points from Adam Thielen as part of like a 5-man Viking stack may be fine. As long as the Vikings score 4 touchdowns, Cousins put up 300 yards and everyone does well. Dalvin Cook has 2 rushing touchdowns or something. I mean, you're good. Because these environments are just so much better than all the other ones. And they will be chalky. Just a matter of how can you play them? How can you play chalky games differently? And I'm treating this more, I believe at least, I'm treating it more like these 3-game Thanksgiving type slates where people just don't overstack enough. Because it's hard for me to see. I'm going through, I'm running lineups and I'm going through And I'm seeing, like, what would I be running? If I X out the games with under 40s, okay, now I get Detroit, Carolina. Am I playing Sam Darnold? Am I playing Jared Goff? Am I playing Goff, Amon-Ra, St. Brown? They don't project all that well. And the Carolina plays so slow. Darnold, Moore, Marshall with the Amon-Ra, St. Brown. I guess. I mean, it's feasible, but how much exposure do I want to have to that? Probably not much. Buffalo, Chicago, but it's going to be like negative nothing. It's going to be ridiculous in Chicago. So what am I playing? Am I playing Josh Allen? I mean, Josh Allen, Diggs, they're expensive for a 24.5 team total. Do you play the field side? Do you do Fields, Kmet, something? I mean, is it viable? Yeah, but do I like it? No. Does it project well? No. Detroit, Carolina, and Buffalo, Chicago don't project well. They're priced as if their total should be at least 5 points higher. Then you go to New Orleans, Cleveland, you're Xing that out, right? Washington, San Francisco, you're Xing out. Then you get to, like, Cincinnati, New England. It's like, oh, well, I could play Joe Burrow. Well, how are you stacking Joe Burrow when Chase and Higgins are so expensive? You play Hayden Hurst? Okay. Yeah, and then New England, you could run back with, like, there's all the Myers and Aguilar. Okay. I could see that being viable, doing a Burrow plus one of Chase or Higgins plus Hurst, assuming that he plays. I could see that. Okay, that's doable, but they're playing in New England. It's 800 degrees under free. It's the day after tomorrow. You see that movie? That's what it is. Have you seen the weather outside? It's the day after tomorrow. We're going to have Jake Gyllenhaal coming in, he's stuck in the library. I've seen that movie plenty of times. So then you go from there and you go, okay, how about the Kansas City-Seattle game? Kansas City has a great total. The problem with Kansas City is like, okay, I can play Patrick Mahomes, and then what? Then you play Kelsey. Now you have no more money left. Right? And now you're playing cheap guys from other games or something like that. And then Seattle, yeah, Goodwin is, because Lockwood is out. You got Goodwin, you got Metcalf. I don't know what's going on with Fant. But this game ain't bad. But I mean, I think it's going to be the third most popular game. I mean, after the Dallas and the Vikings and the Cowboys game, that Kansas City Seattle game will be the third most popular. So it's not like you're getting insane lower ownership. Then, of course, if you're going to double stack with Mahomes, like you could play like 700 people. Right? Mahomes could throw for 4 touchdowns and no one else could get in. Literally no one else on the team gets there from a fantasy perspective. He throws 4 touchdowns, he rushes one in. So his score, he has a 40. And then no one else on his team has more than 12 points. Right? Because Justin Watson has a touchdown, MVS has a touchdown, Kelsey has a touchdown, Jerick McKinnon, he runs it in, Pacheco ran it in. I mean, like there's so many people there. So then what do you do? So it's not that appealing. On the Geno Smith side, I mean, they're a 10-point underdog. Is it viable? Yeah, no, it's more viable than some of these other options at Buffalo, Chicago, I guess. But it doesn't project. It still doesn't really project well in comparison to these other two games. So then it comes down to, we just went through everything. We X'd out the ones under 40. The ones that aren't under 40, the pricing and the positional value isn't worth it from a projection standpoint. And what are you left with? You're left with the Vikings game and the Cowboys game. That's all you're left with. Right? So I'm sitting here, I'm going, okay, like if you were to build, if I set up like just a stacking rule of some type of just like one quarterback with two pass catchers, one run back, right? It's like some type of game stack like this. Like, what does it look like? Like even 2, like even let's do the 1 because I don't want to be unfair. We just run 100. Like, what does that look like based on our RG projections as of this morning? You're gonna run into the problem where the best games are the best games. The popular games are the popular. They should be. Alex says Alvin Kamara is dead to me. I don't care if he's projected to score 25. Well, I don't think you have to worry about that week. That game total is so low that I don't think you have to worry. You don't have to play Kamara at 6,800 if you don't want to. Geno is in the negative game script versus a terrible defense, but that's not that. Those don't relate to ceilings. That's a misnomer. That's a misnomer. This is how you take advantage of people. This is how people think. They go, oh, they're going to be behind. They're going to be throwing a lot. But that's not where ceiling outcomes in fantasy come from. Ceiling outcomes in fantasy come from touchdowns, from scoring. So, wow, yeah, Geno Smith, he throws 380 yards passing from behind with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. That's not going to put you up in the, you're going to be pairing him with 2 other people. You want them scoring touchdowns. You want them ahead in passing or competitive in passing. So it's not like, oh, they're going to be down 3 touchdowns and throwing the ball up. That's not a ceiling mentality. That's a median mentality. So don't think in terms of like, oh, I want to play the team with a 16-point implied team total because they're going to be throwing from behind a lot. That's not it's a cash mentality. That's not a GPP mentality. You know what? I want to play the quarterbacks from the teams that are going to be throwing a lot of touchdowns. Like, I don't care how many they do, and I don't care how much of a lead they have. You give me a quarterback that throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, give it to me. If you tell me that, oh, well, you may not throw for 3 touchdowns, then I don't care anymore. Okay, so here we go. So you get a lot of Giants. Like, look at all the Giants you get. Daniel Jones. I mean, who doesn't want to play a nice Daniel Jones, Isaiah Hodgins, and Darius Slayton lineup? Who doesn't want to play Richie James at chalk? Who doesn't want to play chalk Richie James? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Who doesn't want to just jam in Henry and McCaffrey into all their lineups? Right, that's what this all looks like. I mean, if you take a look, just from a stack perspective, you're just getting all Giants, Vikings, Giants, Vikings, Giants, Vikings. Even if I cap them, let's say I capped Cousins and Jones at 20. Let's see who we get now. Right? So I'm going to run another 100. So I ran the first 100 in that configuration. It's all Vikings Giants. It's all of it. It's all of it. There's nothing else. There's literally nothing else. So let's run another 100. Let's cap them at 20 and see what else comes up. You're going to see that we're going to do this, and you get to a point where all it is 2 or 3 games, and that's it. That if you want to do this type of construction for any of the other games, you're going to be sacrificing like 10 plus, 15 plus points in projection. Because the other games project horribly. That doesn't mean that one of them can't go off. Yeah, you're right. One of them can. Just a lower probability. But I think that these games at chalk may not be high enough on. I mean, like, they'll be high on, and you'll sit there and go, well, the Vikings-Giants game is in like 28% of people's lineups. And I'm like, based on the projections and the context of the slate, maybe it's 28%. That's a lot for a 10-game slate, but maybe they should be 35% owned. Like, maybe it's that. So here we go. Let's see. So now that we got that out of the way, then we get Minshew, right? Okay, we get Minshew. We get some Prescott, right? So that's the other game, the Eagles, right? So we got the Eagles-Cowboys game. And we start getting Geno Smith because he's cheaper on the Seattle side. So you start getting the Seattle-Kansas City game. Right? So if I cap these, let's say I cap just a C. Right? Start getting a couple more quarterbacks in. Like 15, 15, 15, 15. Let's see. We'll get some more Geno Smith, and let's see what comes out after that. We'll run another 100. Look, I'm capping stuff. So, I mean, like, once you go through, like, the first, like, 3,000 lineups, the large proportion of those 3,000 projected lineups in game stack type configurations are going to be the Vikings game and the Cowboys game. Typically on a 10-game slate, you out of 3,000 lineups, you'll see, one game will be 22%, and another game will be 18%, and this game will be 10%, this game will be 8%, this game will be 6%. You run 3,000 lineups, it's like the Vikings game is like 62% of lineups. The Cowboys game is like 28% of lineups, and you're left with like 10%. And it's like the Chiefs game is 4% of lineups, and then like you got like 1% of like anything else. So here we go again. We ran it again. Now we get Mac Jones, okay, because he's cheap. Right? Mac Jones, Mahomes, Darnold, Goff. But still, you're primarily getting Prescott, Minshew, Jones, Cousins. Then some Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, look, then you start after all of that, now you're getting Darnold and Goff in the 43 total game. And this is me capping at 15%. If you would just ran this out and ran 300 lineup sets 10 times, 20 times, we may not get to a Darnold or Goff lineup for thousands. Thousands. Right? 1,000. I mean, it may not even show up in the first 3,000 at all. So all this does is show me, like, yeah, they're going to be, these game stack configurations with these games are going to be chalky, but that seems like the only viable way to do it. The only option other than doing that is to not stack any game and I'm just going to play a whole bunch of one-offs and see what the hell happens. That's what it seems like to me. And remember, you're talking to someone I'm a contrarian. I'm a game theory player. I play against ownership. Yeah, that's true. I play over-own and under-own, not chalk versus not chalk. That chalk doesn't matter. Are these types of lineups under-owned or over-owned? That's all that matters. Something could be highly owned and still be under-owned. Something could be low-owned and still be over-owned, right? A player could be like 4% owned and be like, why don't you play him? He's only 4%. I go, well, he probably should only be 2%. Yeah, but he's low-owned. Yeah, but he's over-owned. And someone could be like 36% and be like, how do you play a 36% whatever the hell? I go, well, he should be 48%. That's how I do it. So it's not a matter of good chalk, bad chalk, high-owned, low-owned. It's, if you're playing exploitatively, it's under-owned, over-owned. And from what I could gather right now, the Vikings game and the Cowboys game will both be high-owned. But I think the Giants-Vikings game, although it will be chalk, it will be high-owned, it's quite possible that it's under-owned. That this game should be the game that you jam. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me in running lineups. And then comes the Eagles-Cowboys game. But the Vikings-Giants game comes much higher above that. I'm not playing many lineups. I think I'm only playing 12 lineups tomorrow. And primarily because I'm pretty much playing the same. Like I'm for this reason. I'm not playing like 8 different games. Like sometimes on some slates, I'll be like, I'm going to play 3 stacks of this and 2 stacks of that and 1 stack of this, and I'm playing a whole bunch of different games. And if one of them goes off, I'll have the right combination. This, playing 12 lineups, is quite possible all 12 lineups have this game in it. Or I have like 8 versions of this and then 2 versions of something else and 2 versions, and that's it. Maybe I'm only playing those 2 games. So it's like, do I need to make an additional? Do I have to have additional entries or whatever? I'll be repeating myself. But that's my incentive. I think people will get it wrong and go like, I'm going to take a shot, right? I'm going to take a shot on the Buffalo-Chicago game. And okay, that isn't horrible. But dude, people, I mean, who knows? People will go, I'm going to play Malik Willis. I'm going to get what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do. I'm going to get leverage on Derrick Henry by playing Malik Willis and Robert Woods and Okonkwo or something like that. And like, good luck to you. Right? I'm going to get leverage on McCaffrey by playing Brock Purdy plus Brandon Ayuk plus Kittle. And I'm going to run it back with Terry McLaurin. I'm like, good luck to you. Good luck to you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm much more likely that I'll stack the chalkier games that have the higher totals. But maybe I just don't play McCaffrey and Henry together. Right? I don't do that. I only play one of them. I pivot at running back. I find a lower owned thing. I play a Swift or a Pollard or a Sanders or a Mixon or something like that in the space of a McCaffrey or a Henry. Kenny Walker at 6,400 if he's healthy. Do something like that. I think that's a better way. To me, from projection standpoint, that seems like a better way to go. It's hard to just from a statistical perspective, it's hard to go, yeah, I'm going to take this 35 total game and hope it's the nuts when there are games that have a 10 plus point higher total in it. That are still going to be played, but not absurd levels. And yeah, 25% Vikings and Giants game usage is high. But I think the context of this slate, I don't think it's high enough right now. Dave Clark says, I imagine Geno Smith is selected because Lockett is out and Goodwin is cheap and projected well point per dollar. Yeah, it's a combination of that. But remember, that game it's not like it projects that well. It's just that once I start capping 15% on these other two games, then I start getting Geno Smith. But understand that there may be 2,000 lineups with those two games before I get the first Geno Smith lineup anyway. The only reason I'm getting him is because I'm telling the optimizer to stop. But yeah, that's a quick little run through. Little run through of thoughts for tomorrow's NFL slate. That's what I wanted to do because we have no MMA, right? There's no MMA for another 3 weeks. So on Friday, it's a little bit casual. We have a Saturday slate for NFL that is tomorrow, so why not talk about it? But if you want to get the game theory show, we'll be talking about it a little bit more in depth with Tuttle. That'll be out later today. Sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. Get the NFL premium stuff. Get the NBA premium stuff. NHL. Soccer's back, right? We got a big slate on Boxing Day on Monday. We got EPL, UCL coverage, PGA, golf, MMA. We got everything. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. But the Game Theory Show is for premium members only. My Discord, right, the premium RotoGrinders Discord, I have my own channel in it. So if you want to hang out with me, if you want to talk to me, if you want to ask me questions or anything, I hang out there. And that's part of your premium membership as well. I do like 2 or 3 Zoom coaching calls a month. We hang out, ask questions, discuss stuff. A little bit more high-level discussion. I enjoy it. We had one yesterday. So join me. Join me in the cold. Get a fleece on. Join up. Premium RotoGrinder subscription. Hang out with me. Because what else are we doing? It's cold. I'm not going outside. I ain't going outside. I'm telling you, I ain't going. But stay in, and stay on the YouTube channel. Right? We got tons of stuff coming out today. I mean, today is going to be ridiculous. Tons of NFL stuff coming out today. We got NBA stuff later. The Grinders Live, Crunch Time. We got college football stuff coming out. We got so much stuff on the schedule today. So stick around, hit that notification bell. Sign up for the Scores and Odds channel on YouTube for the betting stuff, or sister site, scoresandodds.com. And programming note, there will be no show Monday. There will be no show Tuesday. And there will be no show Wednesday. It's like Christmas break or whatever. So no show Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no show. Okay, you won't see a thumbnail. It's not like you're going to show up here and where is he? Like you're not going to see a thumbnail. But I obviously want to say this because there'll be no show Monday, and then people will be like, "Well, where's the show?" Well, if you're listening, there's no show Monday, and then what ends up happening is that the next day there's no show, and they go, "Are you dead?" Apparently, once you miss 2 shows, once you miss 2 days, either they believe you're dead or the show's done. Are we ever going to do another show again? Did you get fired? Right? There's going to be some type of no. There's just no. Sometimes you take vacations. Sometimes you take breaks. Right? You look at a time and go, oh, it's Christmas. Let's take a Christmas break. There you go. Or sometimes I'm away or something like that. So I'm not dead. You won't see a show until next Thursday. So I'm not dead. I didn't get fired. The show's not over. It's still going on. So there you go. Okay. So have a happy holiday. I think I'm Am I legally obliged to tell you that? I don't really care. Don't have a happy holiday. Don't have whatever holiday you want. Don't have a holiday at all. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to be polite. I really, truthfully don't care if you do. Right? I don't care if you have a happy holiday. I don't care if you win or lose money in DFS. If you're in my contest, I don't want you to win. Right? I'm the Grinch. Right? I want everything for myself. So it doesn't matter. I don't care about you people. Right? That I'm bringing in the holiday cheer. Right? It's December 23rd, day before Christmas Eve. I'm going to end the show with, people. Yeah, I don't really care much about you, right? Not the thankful thing of like, oh, let's all be a family, and like all the Christmas movies. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like I'm Larry Daviding up, whatever. Hit the like button on the way out, yeah, if you like that. Hit the like button on the way out, and I'll be back next Thursday. Next Thursday, no show Monday, no show Tuesday, no show Wednesday. I'll be back next Thursday, answering your DFS strategy questions, as I always try to do here on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.